Hello, everyone, and welcome to Just Weird. Lisa and I are very excited and honored today to have Ron Morehead join us. He is the author or the producer of the Sierra Sounds, the only Bigfoot recordings that have been scientifically studied and time-tested and accredited as genuine. And Ron is also an adventurer. I saw that you're a scuba diver and a pilot, and you've traveled all over the world researching Bigfoot and studying ancient civilizations. Been on numerous radio shows and podcasts, and is author of 2 books, which we both have. I have Voices in the Wilderness right here. I get it. And Lisa, I know, has been reading The Quantum Bigfoot. Yeah. And do you have anything else to add, Lisa?
I have the ebook version of Quantum Bigfoot. I wish I would have bought the paperback so I could make notes in it, but it's a great book. I didn't know anything about quantum physics, and Ron gave a really good Mr. Morehead gave a really good introduction to it, and where I could actually understand a lot of it. So if you're interested in quantum physics, this is also a great book to,
I got another one in the mail. It should be out first part of next year, so this coming year.
Oh, you have another one? Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
In the editor's hands right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't get them edited enough, you just keep going. Yeah.
Now, is this also like quantum science?
It'll carry on a little bit from that one. It gets into a little deeper stuff, not deeper so much, just more stuff. And,
Great.
What's the science behind how they disappear? How the trackways stop? What Tesla's manifestation code is, 369, stuff like that. And,
Wow.
and other things. So.
That
A lot
sounds
going
good.
on.
Yeah. We'll be looking for it. Yeah, definitely. And we met Mr. Morehead at a Bigfoot festival in Marion, North Carolina. And
That's where I've seen you guys.
yeah,
we thought we'd see you again.
Yeah. Do you think you'll be attending that same festival next year if they have it, or?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. They haven't asked me yet, but they usually alter speakers, as a rule. But I just asked last night on another program if I was going to be in Ocala, because I was there just this year earlier, and I think they alter their speakers, which is a good idea. That way, get a break from the same.
That's
people.
true. Yeah. That's true.
But,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got one coming up. I got a couple coming up. I don't know. In March, I guess, for the next one that I've got scheduled. And that's in Georgia, I think. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Wow. So, yeah, definitely doing a lot of traveling.
Oh,
yeah.
This year was packed. I just stopped them all of a sudden after October, after the one in Texas I did. I just started traveling. It was back to back, one weekend and next weekend somewhere else. We had to get round trips, tickets, stopping at different places, different times, It's a little much for old man like me, But I enjoy being there. I just like going there.
Mm-hmm. Seems like a nice group of people.
They are. Yeah, I love to be there, but again, traveling is nowadays especially. I used to fly my own plane to these things, but I don't do that anymore. And commercial flying is for the birds. Oh, I love it makes sense. No pun intended.
That's true.
Well, I was just going to maybe talk a little bit about the book that I read, Voices in the Wilderness and the Sierra Signs. And then I know Lisa has some questions about the Quantum Bigfoot.
Good.
So I was just going to say I really enjoyed that book, that you give such a huge, a lot of details and a great overview of how you got started kind of in the whole Bigfoot adventure. It sounds like this is kind of the series of events that got you started in all this.
It's my chronicle. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And were you able to download the sounds okay?
I haven't yet. I have seen where they are in the book. I like how you kind of have context for each of the sounds, and so you can go
on page 126. There's a link there you can tap on and
Yeah.
hear the sound I'm talking about when you get to the context of it.
That's right. Yeah. So I've heard sort of snippets before online, but I want to go through and kind of place it with the text and
Yeah,
kind of listen
Yeah.
to it in context.
Louisa
Mhm.
bought your the CD of the sounds at the when we were at the festival, and she played it on when we were driving on the way back, and I was kind of shocked at how they sounded. You know,
I've produced 2 CDs too, which really are available as downloads on my website, and they're that's what I started with, the 2 CDs, and I started to write a book. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when I first had kind of heard like a sample of the sounds a few years ago, and I didn't really know all the context. Like I just thought, oh, they just recorded these sounds, so it was good to actually kind of get in the background and like, wow, this was several years and months
Yeah.
and a lot of work, sort of hiking into the wilderness. And then you describe how at one point you have a mule that's kind of bad tempered. I understand. and you actually end up falling
him
in
and
the
I had to have an
fall.
understanding.
Yeah. So it's not like I know you probably have people say, oh, well, is it real? But it's not an easy thing to fake going out into this extreme wilderness that you describe it really well in the book. Is that why you kind of went into so much detail?
I just want to tell my story. Hal Berry, the reporter that we took in, the investigative report we took in 1972, suggested I write my story down because it's, and they're doing a documentary on it as we speak. I mean, it should be out late next year, a movie,
Great.
I think. So that'll be a nice thing because it was quite an adventure, and it just the story needs to be told. And I haven't found a production company. A lot of production companies tried to do it for me, but something always happened. They wanted me to put my money in it or something like that. And they don't know how to sell it to a network or something, or how to just something seems like went wrong. But this company I've done a few things with, and they're honorable people. So I think they'll continue with it and do a good job. I know they'll do a good job. They're out of money too.
Yeah.
Well, I say they're out of. I don't know that. So.
Well, you mentioned in your book how one of the people on the trip with you, a camping trip, had been scared initially and hadn't wanted to stay when he heard the sounds. And
the hunting group, yeah, let me explain that. The hunting group was about 5 guys, and there was let's say 5 guys, yeah. And the 2 main guys, the Johnson brothers, go up there every year. Been going there since 1958. So they had gone up earlier that summer and experienced these things coming into camp. This was 71, and they've been going there since 58. So they don't know if this things were messing with them before that. They just didn't put it together because they're hunters, and it's a hunting camp, 8 miles in the wilderness, 8,400 feet elevation. So it's it's quite imposing to get there too. Anyway, they came out and told the story, and the other guys who was part of the group went up, the other 3, and one of the guys, Donald, he just got freaked out when he heard the sounds that night. He just thought, a very religious person, he didn't quite know where to put that in his paradigm, and so he shot out the next morning, left him a note, said, "I'm out of here."
Yeah.
He wouldn't go back, but the guys didn't come out when they were supposed to, so the wives all. I was a friend with them all. I knew them all, but then I wasn't a hunter at the time. I became a hunter after that, just so I could be with the group. And so he came out and said, "Well, I'll go back and check on him if somebody will go with me." So he asked me, and I went with him. That's how I got involved.
Were you kind of cautious about going out there since hearing these stories, or were you just kind of what was your feeling?
I think the feeling was excitement. Yeah, it's kind of venturing into the unknown. When you're 29, like I was then, nothing can hurt you. You're made out of steel, you think. And I just wasn't. Well, I know who I am as a human too. I get into that in my last book here, but humans are very special. I think if you know what's going on in physics now, and I combine that with my religious reading and upbringing, which kind of combines with quantum physics, like Tesla said, what one man calls God, another one calls quantum physics, because it gets off the realm of what you can see in your three-dimensional environment. And that's
Yeah.
what we live in. And we have to learn to stretch away from that and learn how much more there is to see or to learn. You won't see it. But that's what got me into quantum physics years and years ago. And so anyway, I went up. The guys were okay, but they just had to experience more stuff. And they showed me around, and then we went out that afternoon. It was quite a trip in. My legs were just, I thought I was in shape. It's hard when you leave the elevation of the San Joaquin Valley, which is like 150 feet where I was, and you drive
Wow.
into over 6,000 feet, and then you start hiking up a mountain.
Wow.
You go up to 10,000 feet, and you're out of muscle and you're out of breath.
Yeah.
Donald was used to it because he'd been up there quite a bit. You know, he's like a mule anyway. So
You must have taken a while to acclimatize to that altitude.
Well, normally when we started going up there, we usually go up, spend the night at 6,000 feet, and then get acclimated somewhat to it, and then go on up. Let our animals acclimate to it also.
Yeah.
Because it's quite a tug to get up through there, and I think I talk about that in my book, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so.
Did you have any? You probably talked about this in other interviews, but were you aware of Bigfoot before you went up there? Or I mean, I know you said you'd seen the Gimlin-Patterson film, but did you have any expectations?
Yeah, we weren't looking for Bigfoot. Nobody was. I was when we started going up there. We all were conscious of it then and know these things are around. But we weren't. It was a hunting camp, and that's what the guys wanted to do, is get there and meet for the winter, you know. And me, I hunted with them just because I was part of the group.
Yeah.
And half the guys are passed away now, so it's just me and two others remaining.
Okay.
Are you ever afraid of coming into close contact with Bigfoot, or go on these trips, or?
No. Well, in fact, I look forward to it if I can, just because I think they're not going to hurt me, or they would have already. If I've interacted with them, and they've yelled at me. That's what recordings are about too. You know, that was in '74 after we've been doing this for 2-3 years, and that's the night I got to see one finally, because they're very fast and very lucid and very enigmatic. And like some of the strange stuff we put up with up there was just too crazy to talk about then, except to our family. So Al Berry, who was the investigative reporter, had a master's degree in science, and he said, stick with science when you go out and talking, or people who lose people who don't want to ask you to talk anymore. But I don't care anymore. I talk about it because it's accepted now that, well, quantum physics, first of all, is a science. It's not a paranormal. It's not the woo. It's a science. It's accepted science worldwide. And what it is, it's based on Newtonian physics, which we're raised in, is based on everything measurable and predictable and physical and material. And whereas quantum science is not that way, it's unpredictable. And you see reports on this a lot. If you study it, you can see how all that works, and how physicists 100 years ago were working on this. When Max Planck got the Nobel Prize in 1918 for quantum mechanics. And then there was 1933, let's put it that way, when Dr. Dirac, a physicist, got the Nobel Prize for antimatter. And antimatter is the direct exchange between energy and matter. And that's important to tell people how they cloak, disappear.
Right.
If they can find the frequency, again, everything, I didn't say it person. Everything's energy, frequency, and vibration. Right. Everything. Everything is. You find the frequency of anything, you can change its matter. That's pretty interesting. Einstein said that too. Yeah. So I think somehow these things have got the ability to find the frequency to cause their matter to go into energy, and they have a way of exchanging those things. And people call it cloaking, but it's just becoming out of our visual range. We only see within 430 and 770 terahertz. That's our visual frequency. And all these other frequencies are out there that's there. And I think that's how the masters of old did miracles. They knew how to obtain the frequency. That's how Tibetan monks can move things too, through sound frequency. And I think that's how the stones in South America were moved, through sound frequency. because they're huge. They're over 100 tons, a lot of them, most of them. You see those with your own eyes and you figure, how'd they get those things way up here on this 13,000-foot mountain, and especially when they put them together like a jigsaw puzzle. I mean, they're just with no mortar, no space between them at all, just perfect. I've been down there a couple of times, and it's just amazing when you see that stuff. And so advanced intelligence has been here, and we're just not part of them yet.
Yeah.
We're not advanced enough to understand how everything works, but we're trying. I'm mouthing off here, so if you're going to ask me something else, go right
ahead. Did you have any questions, Lisa? Or I have some.
Well, you mentioned Cusco. Well, maybe you didn't mention Cusco, but you mentioned South America with the stones, the big stones. I believe. Let's see, what was I going to ask you? Oh, I was going to ask you about the skulls in Peru. I believe you mentioned that in the book, that the giants, the remains that they have there. I was just wondering, have they thought about if it's like a birth defect that caused that, or
no, they're non-human. Now the DNA has just determined that completely. They're non-Homo sapiens. So
wow.
they're not like we are, even though I think they may have crossbred with the Incas. And that's Incas with a cradleboard their youth to get the elongated skull to try to mimic, I think, what these Paracas people were able to do, which is move things and do things that's just out of our understanding. And so that's what I went down there mainly to study the elongated skull, so I could see if it had anything to do with the sagittal crest that's reported on Bigfoot up here a lot. And there is a crumb trail up here, so from South America all the way into Nevada, all the way into California, really. So anyway, Cusco is a remarkable city. That kind of stuff's all over the town. But you go up higher into the mountains there, a little bit higher, and there's that big Sechcomania, something like that. I went there, and it's about a quarter-mile long with just those stones like that built on layers, and just remarkable when you see that. And why they did it, how they did it. A lot of people say why is because of earthquakes, but who knows? Nobody's around to tell us.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and you're linking the quantum science and Bigfoot, and I like how you're kind of seeing connections in all this.
Yeah.
And you do touch on this in your Voices in the Wilderness book too. So it's really interesting how you're able to kind of piece together all these puzzle pieces.
Well, that's all it's all about. Try to get the puzzle figured out so you get a picture, But when you get into the Lovelock Caves in Nevada, which I've been there 4 times, and if you read the history of that place and find out that the skulls they took out of there have now been taken away, you can't see them. But they were supposedly giant skulls, and but Smithsonian's got them, I guess, or burn them or something. Who knows? But I talked to the Paiutes there too, and visited museums trying to get information on them, and they wrote the BLM, and I won't touch that stuff, They weren't giants; they're just robust people. Well, they find these skeletons in the Humboldt Lake bed there that are 8-9 foot tall, and that's considered, a big person. That's all written in Sarah Winnemucker's book, Life Among the Paiutes. And she, they drove them. They were cannibalistic, red-haired giants.
Oh,
They were devouring them, eating the people. So they drove them into the cave. All the Paiutes got together, the whole area there, and drove them into that Lovelock Cave. That's where they were staying, and set fire to the entrance. And then as they came out, they shot them with arrows. That's the story.
I'll have to check that book out too, because I'm interested in the giant thing because in the Bible, they had the Philistines, and then they talk about the Nephilim in a few passages. So I'm
that's the first place I went to was the Bible, because I was involved in a big church down there. In fact, I was administrator of it. And the first place I went to, we're all religious people going to church and doing all that good stuff. But I'm not religious anymore, but we're definitely spiritual. All of us are. And I say religion because religion kind of, there's so many different types, and they want you inside their parameters to do what they say is right. And everybody has a choice, and my choice is to just continue like I'm doing. So I've studied the Bible, I've studied ancient texts, I've been into all the way back in Mesopotamia's Sumerian culture, and the cuneiform text, which is the oldest known written language. Really. Just about all written languages have a core coming from there, even the Hebrew. So a lot of it's altered since cuneiform put it down via Sumerians. And the Anunnaki are the ones who, and you know what the Anunnaki are, don't you? Or do you?
Yeah.
She don't.
Lisa knows.
Louisa don't. You do. Yeah, they are sky people known as the powerful ones. They were giants, and they're the fallen ones in the angels, as far as I'm concerned. That's how that fits together.
Yeah.
And they are the ones that stayed here and taught the race how to do things, what to do, and they crossbred with them, and that's where a lot of the stories come from about demigods and all that from Greek mythology.
Oh yeah. From what I've been reading, it sounds like a lot of the historical records are disappeared. And from what you were talking about with the giant skulls and the skeletons, do you think that it's who do you think is trying to cover it up, or just doesn't want people to know?
If the government can control the narrative, they'll hide it or make fun of it. So basically, that's what happens. It's just being taken away. There's so much history of giants here in the north, even the north up here where we are, and you don't read about it much, but now it's coming out more and more and more. It's like UFOs, they wouldn't acknowledge that until they thought they had to, because so many people were seeing them. And so many people are seeing these Bigfoot creatures now, and Dogman too, different alien type beings, hybrids is what I think. Well, we're all hybrids. We're hybrids too,
Yeah.
And something made us the way we are, special, and we are special. And we've been given dominion on this planet, which is pretty cool. We're here for experiences, and that's why I like to tell people. How to respond to experiences is what's going to elevate your own personal vibrational frequency. And once you get it good enough, you won't have to repeat it sometimes. Because I think if you don't learn something this go around, you got to learn it somewhere. And,
that's true. Do you think that the government will ever sort of have full disclosure about these sort of like UFOs and cryptids?
Yeah, they're just piecing it together a little bit at a time. They think we can handle what comes out without them disrupting the program too much. There's two governments. There's ones we know about, but then there's under black government, I guess. Call it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not one of those guys, but that's just what it is. There's too many people coming forward that has worked for that. And anyway, it gets deeper and complicated, but we're fixing to see some ending stuff, I think, pretty soon. We've got too much bad stuff going on, and it's messing up our planet. And I think we've got to learn how to treat everything with love and compassion. That's what I talk about, because that's what the masters taught, and that's what we should be doing. And that raises our frequency and raises the whole frequency of everybody around us. Plus, you don't get sick anymore. I haven't been sick in ages, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Of course, you got to eat right. You got to eat right, and you got to clean your pineal gland up.
Yeah, that's right.
And let it talk to your heart.
Yeah,
that's what it does. Once it talks to your heart, then your heart, your job through meditation is to get it coherent with your brain, the one that's been conditioned outside right here. And once it's coherent rhythmically, you'll listen to it and you'll go by that. That's what you're supposed to go by, not your analytical mind, because your analytical mind has been trained to say, well, there's $1 million over there, let's go there. Little old Dave wants to cross the street over here, let's go here. What do you want to do? You want to go for the $1 million if that's the way you've been trained.
Yeah.
But let's
Yeah.
go for the little old lady and help her, Well, wait a minute, I'm a little old man. I better stop that stuff. That's why I appreciate so someone help me someday.
Well, you think well, it sounds like all your research, not just with Bigfoot, but the different civilizations and traveling has really sort of expanded your whole mindset and way of thinking. So it's kind
Yeah.
of developed into something even bigger than just, the Sierra
I
signs or
personally think that's what Bigfoot was all about for me, is to get me on this train
yeah.
and to do
Yeah.
what I'm doing now, I do these conferences and podcasts like this and a lot. And, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I feel really,
Yeah.
what do you call it? Inspired to do this.
Yeah. Do you think some people tap into the frequency, well, the hyper communication part of the book I guess I'm referring to, do you think some people are better at or tapping into I guess the right frequency, and that's why they were contacted? Like, I wonder if the Bigfoot, if they were attracted more to you when you were at the Sierra camp, or was it the place, something about the place?
Maybe both. I don't know, but
Mhm.
it's about who you are as a person. I think that sends out a certain frequency and energy around you and I think they might have liked our energy up there because we weren't partying around. It was a serious camp. We had fun, and we learned, how to be when they are around, and we just didn't shoot at them, didn't shine our flashlights at them, and all that stuff. And only got glimpses here now and then, but when we had no idea what we're dealing with then, no idea. We just thought it was a big ape out in the woods like everybody's looking for now. But they're more than that, a lot more than that. They've been here, I think, a lot longer than Homo sapiens, and I think they've evolved a lot more, and something alien-wise has changed the genome of some primate and made the hybrid that they probably are. And that's what's happened to us too. We were messed with and we got changed, and that's what created man, Homo sapien. We got changed in a good way. And I think, anyway, they've been given an opportunity for experiences. And they, though, I think could have been here for millennial longer than we have. And like you get into the cuneiform text, you get into inking and Gilgamesh and those way back, and find out more about this stuff. And it just opens your head up a lot. I started opening my head when I got out of Peru. I'd been in Moscow, Siberia, one of those places, and they're looking for the wild man there, and that's where everybody's looking for the wild man out in the woods somewhere, trying to bag one or something, and don't do that. I mean, why? We want to see. We're a warring species. Just want to kill things we don't understand, and that's not. I don't hunt anymore, by the way, so I'd throw that out there. But they might be able to go out of our perception, which people call that interdimensional, and they might be that. But I say this: they are definitely, when they're in our three-dimensional environment, they are flesh and blood. They can bleed, and they can eat. They procreate. They do all that stuff like we do. But they like being here.
Do you think oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask the reason that we haven't found, I guess people say, oh, well, we haven't found any remains of cryptids. Do you think it's because of the interdimensionality, or maybe they do just sort of practical things like bury their dead, or have learned over the years?
I think they take care of their own when they die in this dimension. Yeah, they haven't got out of it. But energy can't die, so whatever they were went somewhere else. Right. But the naive lore is that they take care of their own. They bury their own. So I don't know. I've never seen one way or the other, but I know that everything, according to physics, is energy, frequency, and vibration. And we are energy at the most minute level, and we're going to lose this embodiment, but we're going to go somewhere else. And even Einstein wouldn't guess at that, but he knows that energy changes forms; it doesn't die.
Right.
That's what gets a lot of people into reincarnation and multiple embodiments and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I didn't used to believe that way. I wasn't raised that way at all, but I have to go that way just because of all the evidence that shows that to me.
Yeah. Oh, were you going to ask something, Lisa?
Well, this is kind of I was just wondering, have you ever had a near-death experience in the past, or?
I have, but nothing major happened. A major surgery in my brain. I had a tumor in my brain that they removed 7 years ago. It left me with some balance issues and a little bit of other issues, but they couldn't get me out of the anesthesia, so they spent a lot of time trying to save me. But I just seen white light, like so many people claim, I guess. But my wife and my son was there praying for me, pulling me back, and I felt that, and I guess there was more for me to do, and it's probably so I can talk to you guys tonight.
Yeah, that's great. I wonder if that, if that somehow like helped you communicate with them more.
Well, this is all after I've been doing all that.
Okay. I didn't know, because
I went up there in 2018. That was my last trip at the camp, and it was all had caught on fire during the time we were there. Or not our camp, but it was 18 California fires then. We was up there for a week with David Paulides, who wrote the 411 Missing series. And it was him and his cameraman. He's a friend of mine, and he filmed it all and put it on a missing 411, The Hunted. I got about 15 minutes in that at the camp, and I just spoke with him a couple months ago back in Montana with the Montana Con back there. So he was in Ocala, Florida too. I was speaking down there.
Yeah, I really like those documentaries. I saw you in that one. I was and I've seen the one with the UFO connection. I think it's all very interesting.
Well, I do believe there's a UFO connection.
Yeah, I think so.
And like I say, we're being fed just what they think we can handle.
Yeah,
there's a lot more going on.
Did you see any UFOs while you were out there at the camp?
I did. Once I did.
Mm-hmm.
A big blue ball slowly coming down during the night sky, and I watched it till we lost it behind the trees. And at the same time, the Bigfoot stuff was happening. So then I had a report from a fireman who lives in the mountains. He was hunting up there about, probably as the crow flies, 15, 20 miles from where our camp is. And he was watching a UFO on top of a mountain, just hovering there for 30 minutes during the day. And at the same time, there's a Bigfoot steps out over on the other side of this field. He's seen that too.
Wow.
So that was pretty good, because he's a very credible person.
Yeah.
And he was with an attorney hunting friend of his. Yeah, also credible. So
yeah, I think I think more people would see things if they looked up in the sky more. I have like some astronomy binoculars, and I see stuff often up there. They could be satellites, but I see odd things flying around out there. So I'm not surprised that
there's a lot of satellites out there. I think most of the alien satellites are cloaked out there, though. They put themselves in another frequency, so we can't see them, can't detect them. That's my opinion. Not just mine, but several people have that same opinion that know more than I do.
Yeah. It makes sense when you think about even, animals, dogs, cats can see different colors than we can, and animals hear different sounds that we can't hear. So there's got to be just so much out there we can't even perceive,
Oh, there is so much more. If we know what our human limitations are in this embodiment, we can't see everything. We only see within those hertz I mentioned. And we can't hear everything. We don't hear infrasound or ultrasound. We don't smell everything. Our olfactory senses, bear's olfactory sense is 20 times more than ours. So it's just amazing what we don't have. But we actually do have it. We can just tune in and develop it. I think we have a lot more abilities as humans than we've ever evolved into.
Yeah. I think if the government did release, some information, I don't know, it might help us. I think a lot of people are scared, like if you look up and you see something strange, like, oh, I don't want to think about that. What is that? But if we knew, okay, well, there are this there's different beings, there's different creatures. It wouldn't be as scary because I think the more knowledge we have,
Well,
just
I think it's too much for most people to handle, though. They think we're at the top of the heap here, but we're not.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
And that's why they're doing it that way. Because if they just told everybody that was a UFO with aliens in 1947, what would people have done? They'd start digging holes and burying, putting themselves in a shelter of some type.
Yeah, yeah.
So they didn't let that out because it would have freaked everybody out. But there's too much going on now. They can't not let some of it out, and they're doing that. And the Bigfoot thing would be just the same way, I think, slowly. But again, they can't explain it to us because it'll freak people out. But first of all, I think our legislator would probably appropriate $2 million for study on these things, which would be useless because they're never going to get to it. They think they know everything, but it's a crazy world we're in right now, but it's a fun time.
Yeah.
Last year was fun. Remember when they had the multiple sightings of what they thought were UFOs?
Yeah, Phoenix lights,
and they were shooting them down, and then they said they were just balloons. That was over in Alaska, and that was really
well. They shoot down UFOs too. They were anyway, and
yeah, I think they shot one down.
They've got supposedly some of those remains, and they're back engineer a lot of that stuff, and some of that stuff you see in the sky that looks like a UFO is really ours.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But there's a lot of satellites up there. I know when we was in the mountains at night back in the 70s, you could look up at the stars, and occasionally you'd see a UFO go across. And I say UFO satellite. We thought they were satellite, but when they go like this, like that, it's not a satellite.
Yeah,
definitely. And then they don't have sound sometimes too, so which is
we don't hear it anyway, do we?
Yeah, maybe that's
true. Yeah.
That's true. Oh, speaking of sound, like I know I think you say wood knocking, that when that's something that attracts the Bigfoot. Why do you think? Well, does it really work? Because I saw those when we were at the Marion Festival. They had these, wood knocking tools or whatever. Tree knocking. I'm sorry, tree knocking.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
I got a whole chapter on that coming out in my next book.
Oh, good.
Trees are very, very important to these things because I know some people very well who have witnessed these things going in and out of trees.
Yeah.
And they think they might be energizing in the trees because they need energy to transform from one energy to frequency. I mean, energy to mass and mass to energy. I think it takes a lot of power to do that. You see a lot of reports along our electrical lines and hovering over stuff like that. And our batteries would go dead up there sometimes too.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, and I hear that a lot now. And it's just the way it works. They have an energy need. And I wonder sometimes if they weren't right in the trees up there, changing their mass into energy and going into a tree. And I've heard pop on wood. I mean, I got that recorded. Yeah. Knock on wood. And we used to knock on wood, but don't overdo it because you might be hitting one of them.
Oh, no. Right. I thought about that.
Just a good white rap, But over the years, I've had so many reports of people reporting seeing these things when they're cutting trees, especially clear cutters. 8 guys saw one in Oregon here a while back, and all of them saw the Bigfoot. They were clear cutting a field. And,
well, that's interesting.
I wondered how, has with climate change and deforestation, like how would that affect the Bigfoot and other cryptids? Is it gonna?
It's messing the world up. It's messing our planet up.
Yeah.
I think they want us to stop doing that stuff because I think, I think we should. But who am I? It's just things are coming down the pipe pretty soon. I think next couple of years is going to show us something pretty fantastic.
You'd mentioned other cryptids and other encounters that are coming out more and more now. Do you think it's like Dogman and I don't know others, but are sort of related to Bigfoot or same type of
Well, they're not,
energy?
only way they're related is different aliens have done different things to different species on this planet. So
Okay.
I think they created a hybrid being. There's hybrids all over. I might be a
Okay.
hybrid. I mean, this planet's half full of hybrids. With a lot of the people don't even know that. Don't even know they are a hybrid, but
Yeah.
they might be. But if a dogman exists, which I totally believe they do, I was just in Tennessee and went out on a venture with some guys who had encountered a dogman. And one of them was a deputy sheriff who retired. He's seen it face to face, and he cried when he went to that spot. He hadn't been there since that happened, and it just really jars you a little bit.
Yeah.
But I tell you, the only enemy you have is fear. So you can get over the fear issue. You got a better chance of encountering these things. And they're not here to hurt you. They're not supposed to interfere with our karma. We have certain things to respond to in our life, and you're supposed to make those decisions yourself. You're not supposed to tell somebody else what to do or judge somebody else, because it's their place to make their decision. It's their karma is either go up or down, and their life has to get better. All our lives have to get better.
Yeah.
Got to stop hurting people. I talk about love and compassion and who we are as humans, how important it is that we step up on this love and compassion and treat everybody better. And,
definitely, yeah.
You see these homeless people, but you can't help everybody. They're just all this stuff going on, and it's going to create more violence if they don't.
Yeah,
something doesn't happen.
It sounds like your experiences with the Bigfoot were, as you say, peaceful, and they weren't trying to hurt anybody, and they knew that you weren't there to hunt them. So
I think
like
they knew
said,
we weren't there to shoot at them, or we could have. We're definitely, we all had high-powered weapons all the time, and because we didn't know, we still don't know for sure, but I don't think our high-powered weapons would have hurt them unless you hit them in the head, in the eye shot or something. You ever heard the story about Daniel Boone?
Oh, is it which
there's a book out now. I just wrote the forward for it. The guy got an article in there about Daniel Boone's report of shooting a Bigfoot.
Oh, wow,
he didn't call it a Bigfoot. I wish I had it in here, but it's a new book. I wrote the forward to it. I think it's on my website, not my website, but my Facebook account. Picture of it. But I read that, and because I'd heard about this before. It's the Boone National Park up here in North Carolina.
Yeah, because he lived there for a while.
But him and his son were hunting, and he heard the gun go off from his son, and heard some screams, I guess. So he went over there to see what was going on. And Bigfoot had him. He'd already shot the Bigfoot in the chest and didn't go down. And he had his son and threw him down, I guess. Daniel Boone shot him, but he shot him in the face, in the eye. And then he had to figure out why his son's shot didn't hurt his son shooting him didn't hurt. And he cut the chest open on this thing, and it had a solid plate there. The bullet didn't penetrate. It's just an interesting story.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that was Davy Crockett. No, Davy Crockett was Texas, wasn't he?
Yeah, I get Davy Crockett, and
he has a story too, but none of them
there was one that lived in Tennessee, I think. Maybe that was Daniel Boone, though.
Yeah,
I know he lived in North Carolina at one point.
Yeah,
and then went up to Kentucky or something.
But there's that park it's called the LBL in I think it's Kentucky, the land between the lakes.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah,
that's where I was, and there's been a lot of disappearances there. It's like the ladies talks about in all these parks. But the park officials don't acknowledge it because they don't want to hurt their business.
Oh, yeah.
But they will close off parts of it because it's a huge area, LBL, and they close off several areas because of problems they've had there. There's 4 people killed there.
I heard there was a sort of famous murder there, a family. Oh gosh, I don't know all the details.
Yeah, I heard that.
And it was a dogman supposedly.
Yeah, that's Yeah, that's the legends for.
They've closed off that whole park now, that whole part of the park.
Mm.
I went to several places they closed off, got gates across it or something like that, because there's a lot of dogmen being spotted in there.
Mm.
And this one deputy that went out there with me, he took me to them, and he said, they just won't talk about this because it's going to hurt their business. It's going to hurt people coming there. They don't want that to. I probably shouldn't even be talking about it now, because I was privileged to have been taken there, really, by these good people.
Yeah, I heard that the National Park Service, that they don't even keep list of missing.
I think they do. It's just they won't tell you.
They just don't want to.
That's what David Pilates got involved in for. I a lot of missing in Yosemite, and he used to get really close to me because he's afraid I was going to have something going on that wasn't so popular or so good, because he knew about how many people have gone missing, but again, they won't turn over the records to you. And he's really fought with that a long time. But
wow.
Anyway, he's a good man.
Yeah, I follow him on Twitter. He always has good information. They had a case in North Carolina, in eastern North Carolina, of a little boy that went missing, and he was missing for, I believe, 3 nights. And they asked him, about his experience once they found him, and he said that that this ape was taking care of him, or it was a bear. I think it was a bear. Are you familiar with that case, or?
Well, I'm familiar with reading it, that's all. But no one believes it was a bear, because the bears don't do that.
Yeah, they do.
But I thought that was in Yosemite.
Oh, no, I think it was in North Carolina. But maybe there was maybe it wasn't.
Maybe it was 2 boys.
Yeah, it could be. Could be
2
different
bears.
cases. Well, I don't know if you've done any work at Uwharrie National Park here in North Carolina, but my uncle, this was years ago, but he always told us this story, because it must have made a pretty big impression on him. He said that he and his girlfriend at the time, he later married her, but they were out parking in the park. And you know what I mean by parking.
That's what parks are for, isn't it?
Yeah, that's. I don't know if he wants me to tell this, but he said that they were parking, and there's something. This big creature or person had a big hand. He said all he saw was this real big hand, and he said he saw it in the rearview mirror, and it pushed down their back of their car, and he said it shook the car, and it left a imprint in the, and so he always thought that was maybe a Bigfoot, and everybody told him, oh, that's crazy. It was probably a homeless person, but there's no. He was really adamant about that.
Well, people used to call people like that crazy. I mean, that's why I didn't talk about it a whole lot until later on, but I don't really care anymore. But they don't call me crazy anymore, because I got the science. I got science behind our sounds. Dr. Curlin studied them for a year and showed they were outside the human range. It represented an animal compared to a human vocal mechanism, 8 foot tall. And there's a little snippet that he checked for that. And they can go under it, they can go over it, and they can go in our range. So they have a very massive vocal mechanism. Then you got Scott Nelson, the cryptolinguist trained by the Navy as a cryptolinguist, 2-time graduate of the Foreign Language Institute in Monterey, California. Spent a career deciphering codes and languages to see if it was a language. If it was a language, was there any deception in it and stuff like that? That's what he did. And he was teaching school in Missouri after retirement, and heard my sounds by accident. And he came all the way out from Missouri and interviewed me in Albury, and got the context of sounds, and asked if he could study them, and he did. And he said, these things have a complex language. Can't tell you what they're saying, but they have a language. Now you got those 2 guys who are experts, and you got Dr. Lieberman, Brown University, who says only humans have the vocal mechanism for language, like we're talking now. Only humans. Everything communicates. Dolphins communicate, everything communicates, but not through spoken language. He says, Dr. Lieberman says, only humans have that. These things have that. So that means there's a human component to them.
Yeah, I believe it. That was a really interesting part of the book. About, he was talking about, I guess, how they detect the patterns of you know, try to discern whether it is a language by, was it morphemes?
Morphine stream, yeah.
Yeah, and that was all interesting. I didn't even know they had a job, crypto linguist, and
I didn't either. I didn't either until he approached me, called me, and first of all, I don't usually take calls that way.
yeah,
But he finally got through to me and convinced me that it wasn't just a quirk. Because so many people say, "Oh, I know what they're saying," but so many people tell me that. But how do they all tell you something different? So how do you know who's telling the truth? But he has an education behind it, to do what he did. In fact, I had him vetted very well, and he's very qualified to do what he did. And says there's a language there, Lieberman. So you got those three things: Curlin's report, Scott Nelson's report, and Brown University, Dr. Lieberman, saying only humans have it. So there has to be a human component to the ones we dealt with. I'm going to say that because I don't think they're all the same. Yeah. All these beings out there in Nepal and Australia, Russia, the wild man, I've been over there, they're not all the same. And I think that's because there's been different types of aliens here. They've messed with the genome of different species, and they've done different things trying to create whatever they wanted. Some malicious, some benevolent.
Yeah.
So I caution people when they go out in the woods, just keep your guard up because you don't know which one you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So if they rip your arm off, they're not friendly.
That's a good tip. Well,
it does make you. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
I was just going to say it does make you think twice when you're reading all these encounters and listening. Like next time you go for a hike, it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe I won't go.
They're not supposed to mess with us, but they do. They're not supposed to mess with our karma. We have dominion on this planet, and if you know that as a human, as who we are and who we're made after, the Anunnaki are the good ones. You feel good about being anywhere you want to be and not be afraid.
Yeah,
yeah. I think that's why we haven't been attacked by aliens or anything, because
they're not supposed to mess with us.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But I think they're going to if we keep pushing these buttons on these bombs and stuff,
Yeah.
Because they don't want us to destroy this planet any more than you and I do. We don't want this planet. None of them do. This is a good planet. It's the best. It's the best planet in the solar system by a long shot. I mean, it's got water, it's got trees, it's got everything beautiful about it, and here we are blowing it up with bombs and shooting people. And,
Oh yeah,
so bad. And anyway,
what I know you said you're working on your next book. Are there any other projects that are kind of down the pike or that you can talk about? Or
I think I mentioned they're doing a documentary on the Sierra Camp. Basically that book you've got there, The Voices of the Wilderness, and it should be really good. That's coming down probably late next year, though. It's pretty well done. Yeah, and I don't get out in the woods like I used to. I mean, I went out to the LBL with those guys, but I'm going to stay on level ground because I have a balance issue a little bit now since that surgery I had on my brain.
Yeah.
And it's going to change my life, but I still get around. It's just I don't do as well as I used to. I can't jump those rivers like I used to.
Well, it sounds like you're still doing quite a lot, more than most people.
Well, I do. I'm in my 80s now, but I still.
Oh wow!
I still get around.
Well, you
it's just the traveling.
Thanks.
I still travel, to these events and things. And like I say, I used to have my own airplane, so it was fun then, but it's not fun anymore. Going through customs and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Security.
Yeah.
Well, I could leave just off my own home. My house was a couple miles from the airport, Mariposa, California, and I could just fly right out of there and go wherever I want to go, Mexico, Canada, anywhere.
Yeah.
And go to these events, whatever, and it was a good way to get around.
Yeah.
I could time it when I was going to be there and didn't have to spend 2 hours in line getting my airplane.
Yes, exactly.
What Lisa, did you have any other questions?
I guess the only other question I have was like when you were at the Sierra camp and you experienced, you know, the interaction with the Bigfoot, did you or anybody else there have any like what do they call it, missing time moments where
I've been asked that before, and not that I know of. I mean,
okay.
till you go to sleep, you don't know what happened.
Yeah, well, that's true.
You
That's
just
true.
wake up, and who knows? You might have been gone 20 years in space or something.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's true.
Because time exists differently outside of our linear time frame,
Yeah.
and so if Bigfoot can go out of our dimension and get back to that, they wouldn't age like we do.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
yeah, I
right.
wondered about that, how long they would live, and
Well,
I
that's a
guess
question some
compared to
people
Earth.
ask. I guess the longer they stay here in our environment, the longer they'll live. But then when they go out of it, time isn't like that.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Um,
It's
yes,
strange. Try to get your head around that one, huh?
it is hard to.
Are you going to write about that
Yeah.
in the book? That the book you're
Yeah,
talking about?
There's quite a bit of articles about time dilation and how time works, and
Yeah,
yeah,
let's.
I'm interested in that type of thing.
Yeah,
it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Supposedly, there's time travelers now from the future coming here now,
Yeah.
yeah.
and embodying some of us, and trying to make things change so that we won't destroy ourselves because they want to live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people think that the UFOs we're seeing are
Time
time
travelers.
travelers from the future.
Well, I think they could be time travelers, but not in the sense that we might be thinking of right now, because
Mhm.
you can't go across this universe or go to another system somewhere without spending a long, long time in space. But once you start going faster, according to gravity and all that stuff, time doesn't exist like this. It just doesn't. And that was pretty much established too when the astronauts were in space, how the time changed a little bit for me. They weren't going fast at all, but I think I wrote about that in my book, the one you got, the quantum book. It's about, it's been 277 years, something like that, going out at 99% the speed of light. You'd only have like a day or two gone when you come back, or a year or two. So, no, wait, just the opposite. Spend 1 year in space going speed light. You come back here, 227 years have passed.
Yeah.
Something like that. But
Yeah.
there's an interesting phenomenon the way that works, and that's pretty much established by science too.
Yeah.
So these, I don't think they travel in light speed. I think they go faster than light speed. Einstein said nothing can go faster, but no thing. He's talking about mass. Once you get out, like our consciousness right now, it's not restricted by that. It's going immediately from me to you, and it does anytime you think of something. Your consciousness is going faster than light.
Oh, that's right. Because energy. I mean, I kind of think of thoughts as energy.
They are. They are. Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah, we got to learn how to make those three things work together: a pineal gland, heart coherent with the brain. Just make sure the brain listens to it. Then get a feeling. You find out more often than a lot that if you follow that feeling, you're going to be all right. I try to stress that to people, but I think this whole Bigfoot thing is what taking me into this science here.
That's really.
Thanks for the work.
It's interesting how it just kind of developed from something like a campsite to this, huge.
Well, maybe that's what they were talking to me about. I just never knew what they were saying,
Maybe, yeah. Oh, one question I had about the Sierra sounds, especially this, I think you call it the samurai voice when it sounds like they're talking really fast. I'd always wondered do you think they were trying to mimic you all? I know you said they were kind of playing a little bit, or do you think?
Well, they do that, but they weren't doing that then. No, that wasn't what was going on. They got their own language.
Yeah,
those ones we did. They might have just been straight down from a spaceship. I don't know what we're dealing with up there, but they were big. They chattered. They had language, and they're not like the Patterson Bigfoot. I don't think. I've seen them. Bob gave me a track about him. It was it looked so human-like, but it's obviously from the Bluff Creek prints that went by. They don't look like mine. In fact, I get my office set up a little better. I'm going to have my track in here again. display it.
Oh, okay.
It's
Because
just,
they're like splayed, aren't they? The toes and
oh, they're just splayed. You know, they're more. They got 5 toes. It's hard to tell a right foot from a left foot. There's very little arch. Well, one foot right in front of the other.
That's true. You do see the different types. I didn't really think
Mhm.
about that as much. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess there's different subspecies of these.
Well, or different species, yeah.
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 Or
Yeah.
hybrid species, or I think
Yes.
Mhm.
hybrids are all over the place. I got another chapter on hybridization too coming out in my new book.
Yeah.
That's
When is the new book coming out?
I hope to have it out by the 1st of March.
Oh, okay.
I got a convention going on in March, and I want to get it out by then, but there's a lot to do on those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been working on this now for quite a while. You got
Wow.
to get all your P's and Q's right. I don't mean spelling, that's easy, but I mean your facts right and your
Oh,
quotes
yeah.
right and all
Yeah.
that stuff right.
Yeah.
That's true. People will pounce on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess we should probably wrap it up if everybody's any last questions or comments, or what do you think?
Oh, see, I think I asked all my questions. I have plenty more though.
I know I have a
In the
lot. I just don't-
future, if you'd like to come on about your
Yeah.
book, after I read
Well,
it, I would love to ask you more.
My website is where people can reach me to
Oh,
do
good.
that. I can also order my books through there, through Amazon, but it's ronmorehead.com.
Okay.
And you can give me email that way too. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And you can get the CDs as well, or the digital
Yeah,
downloads.
the digital downloads now I don't ship out anymore.
Yeah.
And I stopped putting the CD in the book, the book that you've got there.
Yeah.
Just because it's just too, I can't handle them anymore. It's too much work.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, now I live away probably a few miles from your post office too. You have to, well, I had to order the CD separately, have them made, you know, and then have the stickers made for the book, put them in the book, and stuff the CD in the book, and then mail
a
them.
lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to avoid going to the post office.
Well, the
this
thing
time
is,
of year.
I think people are into the downloads now anyway. So
yeah, it is actually a lot easier. Yeah.
Well, the right links too. It's right.
Yeah.
My website's on there on 126, page 126, but just underneath the website is the actual link. It's a longer link.
Yeah, I have it here. Yep. So
that's the one. However, if I was doing it again, I would have that put in another way of minimize it so it looks like so many people contact me. Hey, I can't download them. I go right to your site. Well, they're hitting the wrong link.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, thank you, ladies, for inviting me on.
Oh, thank you for being a guest on here.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
It's been really interesting. Thanks for taking the time. And
thank you. It's fun. This is what I like to do.
Yeah.
It was a real honor to have you on our show.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll have to keep an eye out for your next book and the documentary. Definitely.
Yeah, like I say, the documentary will probably be out late next year. And the website's being worked on right now, but I'm revising it a little bit, and it'll be done pretty soon. But it's still working, I think. I mean, I haven't looked at it lately. But
the Ron Morehead website, I just looked at it yesterday, I think. So yeah.
I'm upgrading it a little bit.
Yeah. Put a link to that too. Yeah. Well, okay. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Right.
Thank you, Morehead.
Take care. Good night.
Thank you. Bye. Thanks so much for listening tonight as we chatted with Ron Morehead. And once again, you can find his website at ronmorehead.com, where you can buy copies of his books, his CDs, and digital downloads of the Sierra Sounds. Thanks again for joining us, and hope you have a great evening.